Introduce our next laureate. I would like you to join me in giving Arthur Craig a warm welcome to the stage. Arthur is also a JA fifth grader at Douglas Elementary School. So good evening, Arthur. You're looking very dapper this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Eubanks. Miss Eubanks.
That's all right. Ms., Mrs., I answer to either one. Doesn't matter. I understand that you like to play football, and what do you play for, and what position do you play? Who do you play for?
I play center for Bush Recreational Team.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. What else do you like to do?
But I think I like studying science more than anything. I want to be a research scientist someday.
Really? A research scientist? That's impressive. That's what you want to be doing 50 years from now?
I think so. I'd like to help find cures for diseases. Besides, I bet there won't be much use for a 60-year-old football player.
That's probably true. All right, so Mr. Future Research Scientist, Professional Football Player, what do you have in your hand? Oh, very nice.
It's a symbol of what George Washington Ellis provided for our country.
Okay. He helped with the railroad system? All right. And it's no secret that our next laureate is John Washington Ellis, correct? All right. And we indeed helped build our railroad system, right? Is there anything else you'd like to say that you feel really comfortable with?
Oh, this too.
Aha! More money. Thank you very much, Mr. Craig. Very nicely done. Without further ado, we're going to roll the tape on John Washington Ellis.
John Washington Ellis, Cincinnati's first preeminent banker, was born to Benjamin and Sally Ellis of Williamsburg, Ohio, in 1817. Mr. Ellis received his early education in both Ohio and New York, where his family lived from 1831 to 1835. Mr. Ellis went on to attend Kenyon College in Gambier, Ohio. But college couldn't hold the interest of the ambitious Ellis. At the tender age of 18, he started his business career in the wholesale dry goods industry. Also in that year, Mr. Ellis co-founded the Young Men's Mercantile Library Association, eventually serving as the library's president. In the early 1840s, Mr. Ellis formed the partnership of Taylor and Ellis, solidifying his career in the dry goods business. Taylor and Ellis became known as the John Ellis Company in 1847, then Ellis McAlpin Company in 1852, the predecessor to the McAlpin department store chain. During this time of Mr. Ellis's burgeoning career, he also ventured into the frontier traders market. On his return from a trading trip to Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, Mr. Ellis even found himself floating a load of lead down the Mississippi River to Galena, Illinois. His travels eventually brought him to New Orleans, where he saw for the first time the horrors of the American slave trade. What he witnessed among the docks of New Orleans made Mr. Ellis a strong anti-slavery supporter. In 1845, Mr. Ellis married Caroline Lindley. They had a son and 2 daughters. In the early 1850s, Mr. Ellis made his first foray into the banking industry when he formed the private bank of Ellis and Morton at the corner of 3rd and Walnut Streets in downtown Cincinnati. Also during that time, Mr. Ellis was one of the co-founders of the city of Glendale, Ohio. Around then, he also made his entrance into the railroad industry when he was named president of the Cincinnati, Hamilton, and Dayton Railroad. In addition, Mr. Ellis was named as a director of the original Cincinnati Insurance Company. John Washington Ellis's strong anti-slavery feelings and banking skills were instrumental in financing the North's Civil War efforts. In 1863, Mr. Ellis was instrumental in forming the national banking system in an effort to ease severe money shortages during the war. Also in that year, he co-founded the First National Bank of Cincinnati, started with $1 million of capital, the second largest bank in America. John Ellis would serve as the first president of the bank from 1863 to 1869. His bank went on to become today's First Star Bank, the nation's 13th largest banking institution. In fact, First Star Bank still operates under the second oldest bank charter in the United States.
The banking industry's changed a lot in 150 years by way of its size and its scope and the details by which people use banks. And it hasn't changed at all. It's still a business of people to people, trust, and familiarity. And I think if we can all harken back to what started this industry as a way of a handshake, the chance to say, I have something extra and I want to give it to you for safekeeping. And on the other hand, someone walking in a few minutes later saying, I have a need, I have a dream, I need to borrow some money, do you have any extra? Effectively, bankers were in the business of brokering, and we took those monies from people who had extra and promised them a return at a later date. We took that money and handed it to people who had a good idea and a good dream, an opportunity to grow our industry, grow our country. And at the very end of the day, banks deserve to be credited with really the growth factor and the impetus for what has created this great United States of America. So in the end of the day, banking is all about people to people, and I think those of you who know bankers will realize that we understand that that's the number one thing that we stand for is trust and commitment to customers.
During the Civil War, Mr. Ellis lived in a grandiose home on Lafayette Avenue in Clifton and was in constant contact with President Lincoln and fellow Cincinnatian Salmon P. Chase, who at the time was the Treasury Secretary of the United States. After the Civil War, Mr. Ellis moved to New York to head up the company of Winslow, Lanier and Company, a successful investment corporation. He was prominent in the financing of the transcontinental railroad system. In 1876, Mr. Ellis served as president of the Third National Bank of New York City. In 1881, he and J.P. Morgan organized a syndicate to arrange financing for the Northern Pacific Railroad, a record $40 million in bonds established for the project. Mr. Ellis was also instrumental in purchasing the Panama Railroad for the construction of the Panama Canal. John Washington Ellis retired from the business world in 1883. He passed away in 1910 at the age of 93, having set the solid foundation of Cincinnati's strong banking traditions. Tonight, we honor his contributions and accomplishments by inducting John Washington Ellis into the Greater Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Business Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, accepting on behalf of Mr. John Washington Ellis is Mr. Richard Davis, the Vice Chairman of First Star Corporation.
Thank you, Dana. And first of all, thank you for opening our ceremony tonight the way you did. It's very special. And also, Bob and Joe, congratulations. What a great honor tonight to two great people. We're very excited for you. And thank you for letting me recognize and represent John Ellis on behalf of First Star and First National Bank. Obviously, he isn't here tonight, and I never knew him at all. But John has no living relatives, and yet he lives through this city in so many ways. And tonight we celebrate a man with vision, and we celebrate his courage. And it would be my hope that the young people in the room tonight will be inspired by the great legacy that he started and the great life that we live here today because of somebody who had an idea, had a dream, and brought it to fruition in this great Queen City. Ladies and gentlemen, the Junior Achievement Organization is a very special place for students to learn and to become people like John Ellis. On behalf of First Star and the Legacy First National, thank you very much.